As he breaks the punetta, Adam's getting fed up. He's shouting, God damn it, Declawed. But his puns all get better, the women get wetter, and all he can do is applaud King Declawed. Gonna proc it now, gonna proc it now, by Jack Cinderella, Jack Cinderella, gonna proc it now, gonna proc it now, proc it, Jack Cinderella, T-Force. Welcome to the rework of the T-Force, now we going hard, cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cast from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like Brand, practicing his dot game, give it to you easy like you're Resi in the bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time, now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier, knock it up like Malphite planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall, get on the chat call, can a podcast really be all that? Of course, how do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this lovely evening. It is 8:03 on a Monday, and we are back to talk League of Legends with you guys, as we are every Monday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We usually get going around 8, sometimes a little after if we have to wait for somebody or if we have some technical difficulties, but today we are on time in terms that I'm just happy with what we made it this week.
3 minutes is on time for us.
Yeah. So, if you guys didn't check out the Twitch stream this last Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, you missed an awesome event where we played. It was Battle Arena SmackDown Edition, and we had shoutcasters casting it. We had people spectating. We had people playing. I mean, if you guys don't know what Battle Arena SmackDown Edition is, you're missing out. Go check out the VODs that are on YouTube because we posted the caster point of view. Now, I know Punch and Chira played and spectated both, right?
Yeah, I spectated for Group B.
Yeah,
there was plenty of SmackDown going around.
Yeah,
I cringed multiple times.
Yeah, there was one thing that somebody said in Twitch chat. They said, "At least there's no false advertising here."
Yeah, that one as expected, really.
Yes, it was a SmackDown. But what's good about it, and what Chira told me, what I saw, I had to rip people away in between games 1 and game 2. So the bronze and the silvers got to play 2 games, and then they took the knowledge they learned from that first game into game 2, and then they got to sit down again with those platinum diamonds and talk about what they did right, wrong, and what they can do to get better. We actually saw an increased level of play in game 2. People were more mindful, they were playing better, and the games were a little better, but they got away in the mid game.
Group B, game 2, top lane killed his lane opponent a couple times.
Good for him. Nice.
Jungler did a whole lot of stuff in the early game, and stuff was actually looking pretty good. And then when it came back down to team fighting and whatnot, vision control got way, way better in game 2. And then,
well, it's what you would expect, I guess.
It's exactly what you would expect.
Individually, they improved, but then, of course, there's that team play that, solid cube.
We had Chris Alphanar, if you remember him. He came on episode 239 with Weldon Green. He sent me this really awesome document. He's still working on it, like the pros and cons of the event. He's he's going over it in a psychological aspect as well as learning from the game.
Oh, cool.
Because he played in it, he donated. I told him I'd give him a spot, and so because I kind of wanted that extra aspect for being our inaugural Battle Arena SmackDown Edition. Yes, that means we are doing another one in the future, so if you're excited for it, this is why we're trying to talk about it and give you guys some insight. And that's he what he wrote in there was like one of the things that stuck out to me. He goes, using a potion before you engage a trade, mind blown.
Who would have thought?
Yeah,
that's genius.
That's pretty much, he's like, yeah, who would have thought, like, really? Think you're gaining life while you're trading? Oh, little things you learned. So if you guys want to check out Battle Arena SmackDown Edition, we will be doing it again. If it's not the end of April, it'll be just later in the summer. I just got to get some things together, and because I learned a lot when I had to run this tournament, because I ran it all through Google Docs, and I'm going to try to run it a little differently next time. But
a little bit more organized in the docs.
It wasn't bad. Like, all things considered, it really wasn't that disorganized. It could have just been better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's go ahead and move forward. Something came in this week. You guys may see it if you're watching the live stream. If you're not watching the live stream, you're missing out. I am wearing my King Declawed t-shirt tonight.
Ooh. Looks great. Mine
great.
didn't come in yet.
Yes, look at that right there. It's like the royal purple. It says King Declawed. It feels great. It's 100% cotton. And if you ordered one of the old t-shirts, these are like 10 times better fabric than the old t-shirts. Like, they actually they sit in the body better.
Does it breathe?
It's I feel
Good.
light.
It's not too hot, not too stuffy.
No, not yet. No, but wait till the middle of the summer. I'll tell you then. But if you want to get a King Claude t-shirt, womp, womp, womp. They're gone. Sorry. You can't get them. But you can look at all ours and wish you got one.
There's another one coming around, though, isn't there? You were hinting at it.
Actually, on Monday, we're going to be releasing another t-shirt.
Today's Monday.
Next Monday.
Oh, okay.
One Monday from now.
Episode 250, I think that is. 249. Episode 249, we're going to release the next t-shirt, so stay around for that information. Let's move on real quick, because we have spent a lot of time talking about Battle Arena Smackdown, and I do want to get back into patch 5.6. We had 2 donations coming this week. I only have one written down, so I'll get back to the second one on Wednesday. We had $100 coming from Kevin, and Kevin writes, "Hi, just want to let you guys know that I donated $100 to you guys because you have an awesome podcast, and I wanted to give you my thanks for making my workdays suck way less. You inspired me to take up Poppy and hope to rank up there and see if Tom notices and gets salty."
We inspired you for the Poppy? Wow.
That could have been called the LCS rundown as well. He didn't actually say, so.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Well, this guy was also the guy who Amazing Mesion. I don't know. He said if you can pick the pun out in his name, extra bonus points. DeClaude, you might have to stare at his name here in the document.
Oh yeah, it was a tough name.
It's amazing. There's a pun in his name apparently.
Or you have to come up with one. That's the challenge.
Or was that a challenge?
I believe.
How's it spelled? Is that?
Or
you can't just give away bonus points for something easy. It's got to be a challenge.
Did you say I have to come up with it, or?
I'd have to go find the email.
Oh, I mean, you're the pun master. I am woefully inept for that.
I know it's Japanese.
For brilliant man, right?
Meijin. So I'll have to just look up what it means.
You'll just have to figure it out. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I just Googled it. It means brilliant man. It's also a shogu or a Go tournament thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Guys, a couple other quick announcements real quick. Please join our TeamSpeak server, ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. There's still some in-houses going. I do have to address the in-houses people out there are playing. Let's not get salty, guys. We've had some serious outbreak of salt. Like and it's not iodized. It's not the good kind. Right? Yeah, we're gonna try to bring in-houses back. But yeah, if you're playing there and you want to get better, you want something to specifically happen, mention it before we get in the game, and people will change their.
Do our best to cater to your needs.
People will change their play patterns. Basically, just one person in the game can say, "Guys, I really want to practice this. Can you guys help me out?" And we won't have like Trolley, Teemo, Cassiopeia bottom lanes. And by Trolley, I mean really good, but
yeah,
that destroys us.
But yeah, there's that. Then that's join TS. That's ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. You just type that into TeamSpeak. Also, the in-game chat channel T-Force. It has been filling up, but please continue to join it all throughout the day. Lots of people in there looking around for advice and want to chit chat all that stuff. So that is everything. That's all of my announcements. My 10 minutes, like I do every week, of announcements. Now we're gonna rock into an hour of League of Legends discussion. So let's roll back around here to patch 5.6, which I actually don't have available. So patch 5.6.
Where did we leave off?
This is the worst host.
I actually have. Thank you, base Google, for just having to type patch 5.6 and it'd be right there. We went through every champion change, and that's where we left off.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the very end, we kind of rushed the Ziggs changes, and then we wanted to get into Chalice of Harmony on Thieves and Holy Grail. I'll talk more about my Righteous Glory, talk about the Rift Scuttler, Jungle XP, and then I think that was it for patch 5.6 discussion. We could also roll back around to some of these changes and see how they've affected people, which I think is a good follow-up. But before we get to that, let's roll down through Thieves and Holy Grail and Ziggs and what we think of these changes. So going into patch 5.6, Chalice of Harmony has had a cost decrease from 1,000 to 900, while the Athenes and Mikhails have been unchanged. But Athenes and Holy Grail had a mana regen increase to 100% from 50%, and a mana restore on kill and assist has gone from 15 to 30%, which you're gaining more mana. You're doubling the amount of mana that you gain back with this item. So we've had a couple days to play with it. It's probably a good thing we waited to talk about this. My initial thoughts was that since Ziggs had a mana cost reduction in his queue, that he was going to start coming back, but I haven't really seen Ziggs at all. I think still people are still holding on to that. They're still holding on to that 5.5 or 5.4 meta a little bit. So what have we seen? What do we think?
I mean, I fully expect it to come back in time.
I think
seen it's just something it's a small enough change that people aren't going to pick up on it right away, which is pretty common in these patches.
Good point. And I saw him come back, but I haven't seen him played well. So maybe people are just thinking like we are, but they're not. They're trying to learn Ziggs. I didn't see it in a ranked game. So
out of the 4 ranked games I played this weekend, there was a Ziggs in 2 of them.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So 50% increase.
But I still see a ton of people building Morella Nomicon over Athenes anyway. So
I will build Athenes over Morello on Ziggs now with this change.
Right.
Every time, because I loved Athenes on Ziggs before, and then they nerfed it, so I went to Morello. But I'm sold.
Well,
I'm back.
It's nice that you can have.
Sound muted.
Sorry about that. I had to mute
Channel
my
switched.
TS stuff, so you guys probably heard me moving around in TeamSpeak. Are you drinking Labatt Blue?
Yes.
Is that a good or bad thing?
It was really cheap, and it's a big can. I'm not going to pass up on that. I am a frugal individual. You come back here. You come back here, you son of a bitch.
And Adam just stormed out for
I greatly offended
everyone
Adam
who's
with
not
my
watching.
Labatt Blue.
Yep.
I'm
Wow.
sorry it wasn't homebrew. Like
Yeah,
Adam
geez.
usually drinks.
He keeps a keg right next to his desk. What an asshole.
What a terrible
Good for him.
individual.
Anyway, we'll move on. So yes, Athenes is now, I think, coming back. I don't think Morello's is the only choice now in its place. I think there are other champions that can benefit a little bit more from Athenes.
Well,
Then
one thing on the mid lane
Morello.
champions that our listener Thalia mentioned, and he was under the impression that since tanks are becoming more and more prominent, that maybe we're going to start seeing more Leandries, and his champion of choice with that is Zyra.
Right.
So he basically wants an excuse to play more Zyra, but I think he's got a good point, and that we may start seeing more Leandries. I know Kennan's building that too. Kennan's strong on his own. He doesn't like the meta change that isn't going to bring him back, but that's somebody else that can also capitalize on that item.
Before
there's certain
before I
champs-
walked out in disgust over this, I was going to mention that I was going to go back to something that Claude had mentioned with Morello's and Athenes, and that it's nice that Morello's is still in a spot where we can purchase it, because now mid laners have 3 options with items to build, because you can build an arm guard for ADs, you can build Morello's for those neutral matchups, or you build Athenes if you're taking heavy harass.
Right.
Heavy magic harass. So it's really, I think it's in a really good spot right now that they've brought Athenes back up to where this point, but they've lowered Morello Nomicon down to a point where you can also purchase that, because now it's not just cut and dry.
And this
Right.
is also an item Oriana will get a lot of time, correct?
In the past, yes.
Because I've seen a dip of her, especially in solo queue. I haven't seen a lot of her, so she could also.
And I don't
be
know why. She's
coming
still
back for that.
freaking
Right.
awesome.
I mean, it always seems like she's good. She'll disappear for a while, and then everyone will remember that she's good, just like Corky at the end of every season at Worlds
Jax.
time.
Someone
Jax,
picked,
yeah, too.
now that Zed's kind of creeping back, you throw an Ori in there, and Ori can bully the hell out of Zed.
Well, Ori for the most part is just really safe if you know how to play her anyway.
Right.
So
But Athenes, I like the Athenes change. It does bring it back onto the shelf before I put it, or off the shelf. Before I put it on the shelf, and now I'm going to start taking it off. So this patch actually did change something. Doubling the mana regen, doubling the restore on kill or assist.
And I even forgot there was a mana restore on kill. It's been so long since I've played mid lane and bought this item.
I don't know how many people actually notice that the item gives you mana on kill.
Right.
Like, they're not
I've
actively aware of it.
I always live in the red zone of mana when I'm laning.
Oh, we
'cause-
know.
Yeah, it's bad. I need to go back sooner, but I never do. So I've noticed on the old Athenes, then I stop purchasing it, and I just stay too long and get killed.
Claude needs
So-
a SmackDown edition on mid lane.
I was about to say that was actually a
I do.
reoccurring theme in bot laners sticking around way too long when their health was too low, and they should just back off and come back so they can actually fight, farm, or harass.
Right, because you keep falling further and further behind when you can't cast spells or if you have health and you're zoned. So, yep, that's one of the things I know that I need to work on. And this change actually makes it worse because I'm not going to work on it as much. I'm going to grab this item and it's going to make up for it. So,
There you go.
so there you go. Bingo.
I was going to point out with this patch that because of the tank meta and the double tanks being so strong right now, that we've seen a lot of resurgence of Cho'Gath and AP Malphite. And, like mid lane has been band-aiding a lot of picks. Like, you can put a carry in the top lane at this point and then band-aid mid with like a mid lane, a tanky mid lane, kind of like a Cho'Gath.
We've
Works
seen
really well.
Jarvan in mid lane as of Sunday.
This game is just so crazy right now. Like,
And there's a
you
lot
want
of
a
stuff that's
meta?
up in the air.
There's really not that. There's not really a meta anymore.
Yeah, if you're in a ranked game and you're thinking someone's doing a troll pick mid, it's actually not really a probably a troll pick. It probably works. So,
And I
give
love
him the
how
benefit of the doubt. See what happens.
every ranked I've been in fact, every game that I've been in, Urgots have just been popping off and kicking the crap out of people.
You know what's funny about Urgot? Somebody mentioned to me earlier on Twitter, like, is Urgot actually a viable pick? And I didn't get a chance to respond to him. I think I responded to somebody else in chat. And they said, the same question essentially. And I said, Urgot's always been good. He's always been a great top and mid laner. He's always been a great counter pick. It's just now he has a shield that's a little heavier, making him even better than he was previously. And it just takes a small change like that to put him in spotlights of people who weren't playing him previously. So.
Yep.
I'm not telling you to go play Urgot. I hate playing in Urgot.
I hate playing
Urgot so
against
much.
Urgot. It's so annoying.
I know,
Especially if you're playing a melee. You're
I
never
love
farming.
Urgot. I do love Urgot. It's so fun when you hit him with your E and you're trying to get your homing missiles off on them and everything. It's just, he's fun. He was one of the earlier champions with an interesting mechanic that no one else had. That little homing seeker, the Q, and it's just fun. He's an ADC who has a little shield. He's got a faster missile speed. That was the biggest improvement because I hated the short range and just the slow little orb that he'd throw at you. Made him okay. He's not an ADC. What the hell is he? He's this guy who throws. He's a mage, is what he felt like when you were wet noodling people. But now he feels like a ranged killer. It's awesome.
Well, let's roll back through some of these changes before we get.
I'm
down
saying
into-
play him.
Well,
You may
actually-
say don't play him, but I'd say play him.
Oh no, I just said don't play him because I don't want to go against him. I think he's.
Oh,
strong.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he's strong. I think he can be played. If you play him well, you just have to know what you're doing on him. You need to get some time. You need to get some practice on him to understand his limitations. I think more so than other champions because one screw up with his ult or if you miss his E, you're pretty much worthless in a team fight. He's very dependent on landing his abilities and using them in the correct order.
Yeah, I've had those. Oh crap! I landed my ult. Damn it.
But if you land that E and you're even slightly ahead, you're bowling people completely out of farm range because he can do that. I got to play Teemo. I was screwing around with a Luden's Echo Static Shiv build on Teemo just for fun because my buddy Steve recommended it. It's pretty good, but first time I got to try it, I went up against an Urgot, and at level 3 or 4, I think he landed an E and 2 Acid Hunters in a row, and I was down to a quarter health from full. So it's like and at that point, like his EQ outranges a turret as long as you get that E off, and then you just stand outside of turret range and he can smack you with it. So it's really frustrating to play against if you're playing against an Urgot that knows what they're doing.
Well, let's talk Rift Scuttler. They changed the vision radius so that it matches the circle that you see on the screen, essentially.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they said you still cannot get around it, and I haven't noticed this yet. I'm sure if I pay a lot more attention, I will. But you cannot get around it. You'll still blip on the mini map if you run by the outer edge of it. They said.
Okay.
That's what Riot has confirmed that you will show if you run by it at any point in time, but it'll be a blip rather than the full animation of you walking through it.
Right, you'll see something on your mini map. Be like, what was that?
Right. Yep. And again, it'll just be a blip.
Fiddlesticks? Nah, we're safe.
But that's kind of how I envisioned Rift Scuttler before. It should have only given the vision that the circle gave.
I always wondered about that.
Yeah,
I always
agree.
thought it did. So
Yeah, me too. I think most people did because
Right.
I mean Riot's really big on the
indicator.
the visual aspect of the game and having like visual clarity. Like, oh, this moves do what they appear to do. Right? So if you see a circle of vision, you assume that if you stay outside that circle of vision, you won't be seen, which that wasn't the case.
What's funny though, because you would take it and then you would like that extra vision, and then they would take it and you'd be, God damn it! Now are they going to see me? Yeah, they're going to.
I have to go around the long way.
Right.
It's a good zoning thing. So keep killing that Rift Scuttler.
And remember,
And it gives, if you're jungling, it gives a lot of gold.
gives 50,
like,
right?
It does.
Yeah, it's
55.
a fat chunk of gold
55 for the jungler, I think.
for something that gives free vision in a spot.
Kill it if you have kill it if
Stun.
you have some kind of
Yeah.
stun,
Yep.
stun or disable. Don't try to kill it if you don't, because it's just tankier than shit.
Or slow.
You can
Slow
still
works
kill it
too,
if you're a
correct.
jungler, but if
It
you're a
has to be
support,
stun. It has to
It
be.
has to be. It
Has
has
to
to
be
be a
stun?
hard CC. It can't be
Oh,
as
okay.
slow.
Just kidding.
Yeah, because red
Um,
buff will not change its armor. So
yeah, you're right. Because with Sejuani, you'd hit the Q, and then it would melt like nothing, like butter. Once you
because it
W
goes from 60 or 66 armor to 10. I know I know the first number is to 6, but I know it goes right down to 10. It loses 50. It's 60 to 10 because it loses 50 armor and 50 magic resist, meaning it's just easier than hell to kill.
Yeah, it's Panth. If you see Panth by Rift Scuttler, he probably hit W on it, so you can go in and not worry about getting stunned. It's something to think about.
Well, let's
If
talk.
you see him chunking it. If you see him barely damaging it, then be wary. His W's up. Okay, sorry. Telling people how to play against me.
Let's move on to jungle experience. We had some changes. Chira may have noticed this. I don't know how much jungle he's been playing. I've been playing
I
quite a
noticed
bit.
this.
Oh, you've been playing jungle?
I was forced to play jungle once over the weekend, but I noticed the change.
I haven't. I mean, I kind of noticed a change. It really hasn't been too much. Levels 1 to 4 unchanged. This is an experience increase. Levels 5 to 7, you gain 3% more experience. Level 8 to 10, 6% more, and level 11, 18, 10% more by killing jungle monsters. The only time that I ever noticed it was like when I was trying to get to my level 6, and I got to my level 6 just a little much more quickly, like one minion more quickly.
So the game in question I played over the weekend, and every game I've played this season so far, I've made a note to my teammates where I cannot play jungle. Well, this particular game I could not, or this particular weekend, I couldn't get marksman to save my life. So it was inevitable that one of these games I would get jungle, and I did.
Right.
So I played Nautilus, and my idea was, well, I don't know the proper pressure timings, so I'm just gonna try and look for ganks wherever possible. Didn't really work out that way because I'm a bad jungler, so I ended up farming a fair amount. And at the point that I was level 12, the enemy jungler was level 10. So I had, I think I had double
he
his
was
CS and
failing.
2 levels higher, and I was the same. Actually, I was higher level than my marksman, and I think I was the same level as my mid.
Did you get rangers?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You're,
that would be
you're
it.
playing Nautilus.
I
you're
knew I
gonna
wasn't gonna be a great
Rangers.
ganker, so I just got
Yep.
rangers and farmed away.
Very nice. Good job.
We
Man,
lost, so
I-
it wasn't a good job.
Yeah.
You should have played
But
Volleyball
it was
there,
all
then.
experience.
No, it's because Punch. He says I can't hit circles. Punch doesn't know how to use mid-game power spikes at all, or or any kind of
what
power
are you
spike.
talking about?
The only power spike Punch can use is if he's 6 items.
Late game.
What is this lie you're perpetuating?
Wow.
You're gonna perpetuate circle lies about me. I'm gonna perpetuate power spikes about you. I've been in
fair
ranked
enough.
games with you.
Fair enough.
I've been in ranked games with Punch, and we will lose up until the 30-minute mark, and then we will slowly make it back into the game until 44 minutes.
Hey, you know what matters? Winning.
We won.
Doesn't matter
right.
when you win,
But-
as long as you
But
win.
you know what matters about my circle? I zoned. They had to walk around it.
I don't believe
You use whatever
Rift Scuttler, right?
rationalization that you need to feel better.
But during that time, Punch is actually ahead in CS, and he's doing better in laning than the enemy marksman. He's just not using that spike.
When
to
we're
get
when we're
kills.
down 2 inhibitors
late.
and fighting back, I wouldn't say that we're actually ahead.
Oh, you were
I
down
was
to
biding our
inhibitors.
time.
Ouch.
I've played how many games have I played with Punch where the only time he can ever carry is if he gets 2 kills out of lane. I'm gonna keep giving him the shit until this segment is over. Just because
I give you shit all the time. That is fair.
oh my god, I'm gonna have to play jungle tonight and just camp you with Cho'Gath.
I hope you
I'm gonna purposely miss.
See,
That would be
I love how you're on the Cho'Gath train now, and for the past like forever, I've been like, I love Cho'Gath out of the jungle. He's great.
No,
He's safe
I'm
as
not
shit.
playing
Cho'Gath
Cho'Gath out of the
everything's
jungle.
great.
I'm gonna play Zac out of the jungle because Zac out of the jungle right now is OP as
Is really good.
because you don't
Really
need to get
good.
rangers on him. You can get Chilling
saw him.
Smite.
Well, I mean, you can get either on him. Both
You
are
don't
fine
really-
options.
You don't. I don't think you should get rangers on Zac out of the jungle because you don't need the extra mana. You don't get mana. You have no mana.
Right. Well,
So-
I mean, that might be true, but you can also just E into the Raptor camp and one-shot it.
well, yeah, you can.
Between
Everybody
that
can do
spike.
that though. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Any of the AOE junglers or tank junglers can.
Yeah,
can
that's
do what's ability into the Raptor
With
camp.
Rangers.
save time, baby. Just save time.
Don't need it. My W is off cooldown that quick. I'm telling you, Zac. Next OP
All right,
jungler.
we'll see it tonight. Let's move on.
There's really not much more to talk about besides going back through the champions that we already covered. Because most of the stuff that we talked about last week, we were just kind of like covering the rest of it.
I noticed the texture rebalance on Pantheon. Not his
And-
dragon skin,
I'm
but
sure
his
you did.
his Myrmidon. I picked different skins. Not the He-Man one, the Ruthless one where he's half naked, showing off the abs and the big red boots. That one I didn't notice much. But the Myrmidon Pantheon, the one where he looked like he was covered in mustard and ketchup, it actually looks better. It looks like
Mustard and
gold
ketchup.
and red. You know, it looks a lot better there. And then the heavy metal Pantheon, or the full metal Pantheon, looks awesome.
What about
So-
Dragon Slayer?
Dragon Slayer looks the same. I don't think they rebalanced that because that was made post all their texture rebalancing. So
It already looks pretty
they
good
worked
on
it
its
in
own.
it, yeah. It's the base Full Metal Myrmidon, Perseus, and it says Ruthless, but I didn't really notice. That's the He-Man one. I didn't notice it on that one. And I didn't try Perseus yet, so I got to check that one out. But yeah, these texture rebalances, I like it. It's a way to hold you over until they work the models. Get the triangle feet away like they do with Nidalee. Maybe get Pantheon's ginormous feet down to normal, etc.
Well, good for the pack. Good for that. I don't know what else to say. Like I don't have a segue for that one.
I know there's no real, nothing to talk about strategically. It just looks cool. Oh, and speaking of looks and everything, also with this patch, the music, you probably already noticed that, but the music changed for Summoner's Rift.
I need to change the client music feedback.
Champion Select music has been added for Summoner's Rift queues, so it's different.
Thank you. I've turned all of that off.
The beta has been removed from the name because it's no longer in beta, etc. So they've done little things. Mine turns itself on again whenever I turn it off. So.
Fun fact, I probably haven't heard the Champion Select music in 3 years. Actually, I take that back. I've probably heard it once or twice since a reformat here and there, but it's usually so loud. It actually bothers me when I watch a streamer and they have the music on.
I will say that the select music's usually so loud that it almost completely drowns out the Skype call that I'm in.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I had to turn it off.
You can select the patcher, and then when you go in the game, it's different. It doesn't use the same. In Windows, it doesn't use the same thing. So you can mute the patcher, and then your little client in the windowed mode will stay muted. But when you're in the game, you have your full sound. So.
I'd listen to music. I listen to Pandora in the background. I could never be a pro player because I have to have music playing in the background to be able to play well. And it's weird. So let's move on to talk about some of the champions that got changed into patch 5.6. We had talked about these in episode 246. We're going to kind of run back down through them and see how they've changed since we've had a week to play on them, or just under a week. I kind of want to start with Katarina because she had a pretty significant decrease in her health and health regen and base health. Yet I still see her being banned and played consistently.
Exactly.
Played well, too, and still kicking butt.
I mean, she's been out for forever, and the people who are going to play her probably have a ton of experience on her as well. So it's one of those comfort pick champions.
Yeah, she's still in a good place, I think. She's not... I don't think she's pick or ban, and I don't think she's crap. She's right where she needs to be.
I just ban her because there's really not much else I'm super afraid of. I ban Hecarim because most people don't know how to play into him top lane, and I just rather my top lane not lose hard. I ban Hecarim, I ban Katarina. I guess speaking of Sejuani, that's a good segue. She did get changed in this last patch, yet she still is probably the strongest jungler thanks to her W percentage of damage, or W percent damage.
Percentage health damage.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny?
I've still been banning her out.
Cinderhulk doesn't really... That item is what made her pick or ban for everybody, because everybody woke up and said, wow, Sejuani's powerful. But there's a whole beginning of the game and creeping up in the mid-game where you don't notice any of the Cinderhulk changes on her, unless you rush it and you like the little Sunfire AoE that you're getting on the monsters, but it's not really that big of an increase until the mid-game. She spikes now in the mid-game with that item. And people, including you guys, were saying that she's meh. You wouldn't pick her back in the old meta, even before Cinderhulk. But nothing changed except for that item, really, with Sejuani.
Right, but that made her so much more powerful in the mid, and she's a mid-late game champion. She's not an early game champion. Never has been, but she still kicks ass up to that point. If she didn't, debatable. I mean, debatable. I mean, the problem with the jungle and stuff is you can take buffs and you can counter jungle, and there's really no repercussions for doing it because there's so much experience to be had, and the jungle minions spawn so quickly that anytime I've ever been, unless I'm being counter jungled like so hard that they're in my jungle the entire time, which doesn't really happen. It's like they take a buff and then, okay, you took my buff, so I know you're someplace else. It means I can gank. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's the little jungle things you can do. Sejuani, yes, she is super powerful right now, but she's super powerful because Cinderhulk made her more powerful. She got that 1% leap than she had before. So she's always been a mid and late game powerhouse. She's just so much more of a mid and late game powerhouse because Cinderhulk, exponentially increases W's damage.
I'm not sure if I 100% agree with that, because she was gaining steam right before Cinderhulk came out. She was seeing more play. She was being played in LCS right before that patch. But I definitely agree that Cinderhulk made her even more powerful.
Right. It put the spyglass on her, the spotlight. She was kind of like creeping around the background, being awesome, and people like, whatever, Sejuani, but Jarvan, yeah, Vi, yeah. And then all of a sudden Cinderhulk, and everyone's like, well, focus on tank junglers. Bam, Sejuani right in the middle on the spotlight. Uh-oh, what are you going to do? Banhammer. So
And these
unfortunately,
changes really didn't weaken her very much. I mean, she's still, with Cinderhulk, she's still an unkillable juggernaut. She does lots of damage over time. And people were freaking out about the slow on Glacial Prison. We talked about that when it came out. It's
Just
so
land
long
it.
as you hit your ult, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Just hit your ult.
The bad players are the ones that are crying.
Yeah.
So I think she was always good, and now she's just super good. But unfortunately, she's being picked or banned. So it's like when Pantheon was popular.
Well,
I always
you know,
suffer.
you could just start playing Panth again because he's still an asshole.
Oh, I haven't, and I always do, unless somebody plays a carry top and we need a tank. Then I gotta figure a tank who's not Sejuani because she's banned. So I'm like, all right, who's my tank?
Oh,
now?
like you
Just
don't
fix
have
the
that many to
Sion,
choose
right.
from. I was
Yeah,
about to
the
say.
Claw, let's get your opinion on the Sion changes. And the heavy damage nerf to E.
yeah,
20% damage pass through nerf on his E.
yeah,
Right.
that's huge.
You want to
That's
know the
actually-
kicker on? Get it? Because he kicks stuff. Kicker.
No, he screams.
Yeah, but he does the kick too when he does
I'll
it.
take it. Good enough.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mm-mm.
All right.
What's
Anyway.
the screamer?
I still have a gripe because like I've been playing games and I got to play top against Sion. Yeah, sure, he doesn't do as much damage as he was, but he's still doing the same amount of he's still doing damage from far away. Yeah, he has to cast 2 more to make up for that same amount of damage. It's still a lot of damage. He's still really good. Fuck that champion.
Yeah, but also the nerf prior, these stacking nerfs are actually I noticed it really hurts because now you can't E unlimited times, just sit up there and E to your heart's content because it costs so much.
Well, you
for
shouldn't
scam
be
ban.
allowed to do that anyway.
I know. So he's less powerful than he was. He's not. I don't think he's extremely powerful. I think he's fun and he's in a competitive place.
He is fun.
He's not over powerful, but he can still. He can still, like you said, he can still hit you from a good range. Good ones will
still
hit you. when
doing
you're
decent
perfect.
damage. And
Right.
the other
Still rank
it's
it.
more. It's more of the issue isn't that necessarily with these nerfs isn't necessarily that now he's able to kill you potentially because in the past he can he has a pretty strong laning phase, and his laning phase is so strong he can translate that into fights and being just a giant tank in team fights later on. But the thing is, he is still really, really hard to kill. And when he hits 6, unless somebody can flash behind him when he ults or get on the other side of him, he can just run away unless he decides to aggressively ult or something like that. But it's just he's safe. He's so safe. There isn't a major drawback right now. It's so funny because I went from weeks ago being I don't think Sion's that good to just be God, Sion's just annoying to play against. It isn't even necessarily that he's murdering everybody right now. It's just he's not fun to lane against because what are you going to do? Have him just soak up most of the damage that you try to do with him, do to him with W? And then
being a Sion player, when I play against a Sion as whatever champion, because I know how he works, I know how to avoid the E by dodging where the monsters are. The problem is I have to put myself in a vulnerable spot to CS. And that's where good Sions will get you because they'll wait till you go in and they know where you're going to be, so they're going to hit
then
you.
they'll
But-
E and then into the
Right.
Q, and then next thing you know, their jungler shows up mid while you're halfway in the air, and
Yeah.
Rengar jumped out of you from bush, so you're dead. And yeah, it's just
PTSD coming on over here.
Yeah, I got
playing
some.
Sion.
It's funny because I ran into one Sion in 2 weeks probably in top lane, and it was annoying. I did fine in lane, but it's just I have no kill potential on him at all.
Well, it's like a Cho'Gath, when you get someone just beefy whose health that you can't really trade with.
But you can
and still regenerate it back.
if you can pick certain things to kill Cho'Gath. I'm not saying you can't pick something and kill Sion, and yes, it's going to be just dependent on how well Sion plays it and how well you play it. But
Yep, just like everything.
you want to go with that mentality. It takes a little bit longer for Cho'Gath's for Sion's Q to knock you up, but Sion's Q probably takes up 2 to 3 times the amount of space that Cho Q knocks up.
Speaking of Q,
go for it.
Crazy Phil brought up something in chat that I was thinking about when I saw the changes compounded with last patch's changes, and that is the possibility of ranking Q first. Claude, you just said that still rank E, and I think I agree with you.
Right.
But I think ranking Q is worth considering since the mana is now flat and this heavy damage nerf to E. Q is actually pretty good. Now, I know at first when people started playing the new Sion, they ranked Q first because I thought that's how you're supposed to do it, and it didn't work out that well. I'm wondering if these changes are enough to perpetuate that change, or because it's not a bad ability, really. When you get used to Sion, I mean, you can guarantee a hit, whereas you can't do that with E. And it does pretty good damage with that scale and AD ratio.
You can only guarantee a hit if you hit E, though, because they're slowed.
That's not like you're not going to have.
No. I mean, you can cancel the Q early to get partial damage.
Well, that's exactly it. And you can time it if you know, like, say there's a cannon minion up. All right, I'm going to use this example because I saw this happen. Nasus in the top lane into Sion. Sion maxed Q because every time there was a cannon minion up, Nasus, for the most part, would run to go get it. He'd end up knocking that Nasus up for the full damage, pushing the wave, and next thing you know, that Nasus has 0 mana, is trying to farm his Q underneath that turret, and not having a great time, missing a ton of CS because Sion just keeps shoving the wave into the turret.
And you can do the same thing with Max E, though. Even the Q does a shit ton of damage to minions, despite I max it second, so I never max W. But I max Q second, and it does just as much damage. Well, not as much as if you max it, but E hits through all the minions. With the 30% less, though, you're right. Maxing, maybe I would get an extra point in Q early, so you could wipe. If your objective is to wipe the minions and push the lane as fast as possible,
Q's way better. You can borderline clear the entire wave with one Q if you max it.
E did shit ton of damage to everyone in the lane, and then no matter what you rank your Q, you get one off, you finish them off. And you pop your W, boom, you do your set, the lane's dead. Now, I haven't played Sion top since the change. I played him in the jungle, but not top. So, I don't know. Have you noticed it didn't really hurt the minions that much, even if you're maxing it?
What,
I'll have to mess around. Yeah, the E. Because that's when they're coming in a straight line, you can knock them all, and then boom, they're all
right. You can still do that, but the damage, it's not like what it was where
I don't have
you only needed to do it twice and you cleared the entire wave. Like you might have to E 3 times or so.
I did the numbers. I mean, it's a 20% damage reduction, which you can just
that's significant.
You can imagine it's most people get a 1 or 2%, maybe 5% damage reduction when there's any kind of nerf. So
I was comparing the damage from E to Q, and I think E still does more damage until rank 4. And that's when Q surpasses it. But maybe if you're doing that Hydra first build to Claude, like you were talking about, maybe Q first would be a pretty good idea.
Well, I think I'm still going to rank E first just for this one reason. I'm not building AP. So if I rank E later, the damage I'm getting isn't... The extra damage just from ranking the ability isn't as significant against opponents in that later game when they have more health. But earlier in the game, that damage is significant. And I'm not going to... Once I hit the max rank on E, that's all the damage it does. There's nothing that makes it better. That's it. Just like Olaf's E used to be before they did the AD addition, which is why it sickened me when I couldn't rank E. When I wanted to rank Q because that was so powerful, I was like, ugh. But
because
E
if you max Q, that's exactly it. The E is not getting any better over the course of the game.
The E doesn't get any better. It maxes out. It only has its rank damage if you're not building AP, which hopefully you're not. But Q, you can still build AD, and you're making it do more damage even if you're not ranking it because you have a ratio added onto it. So in that little give and take, I might put an extra point in Q a little earlier, maybe delay the E a little bit, but it's hard for me to justify not
honestly
maxing that for that reason.
I also think it comes down more to like a lane matchup. Like say you're up against somebody like Nasus, I could see you taking Q all day because he's going to be up in there trying to farm, trying to get, lifesteal back from his passive and all that. But if you're going against somebody like Kennen or Gnar, E is probably the better choice because it gives you a little bit of poke or some way to stay. Yeah, that's exactly it. You can trade from farther away rather than being on the end of your queue and then not being able to hit them.
It sounds like Sion's in a good enough spot where you have a choice between 3 abilities to max in lane because there's definitely a case for putting
for
maxing W so that you can farm so that you know.
I still don't like maxing W. I looked at the numbers.
I max W second because especially against people like Gnar or Kennen who are going to poke me out quite a bit, it allows me to push the wave because I keep my W gains enough life back.
It also is one of the usually max EW into Q, but that's also if you get ganked and you have a you have max W second. If you max it first, that's even better. But you're not dying. If you,
I don't generally max W first. I don't think I've ever maxed W
it's
first.
just you
It was
can. It's not a terrible ability to max it first if you have to.
It's well, here it only does more damage based on your target's maximum health as you rank it. So that's what scales, plus your AP, which hopefully you're not building. And then it goes from 40 magic damage at rank 1 to 140 at rank 5. So you get 25 at rank 2 extra damage, which I guess to minions is significant enough. But you get way more ranking,
but you get
your E and your Q.
It's not that. It's not about damage. It's about how much you're soaking. It's 10% of your maximum health plus 30, 55, 80, 105, 130. Which
30, 55, 20 again, 25, same kind of ratio.
And it obviously it stacks up because you get more with
with your maximum health, which to me leads you to want that later in the game once it's maxed. That's when it really is beneficial.
The whole point of it is you gain that extra 20 with every rank, and that extra 20 could save you along with the extra life you're giving on. That's why you could max it second, because if you're not winning the lane, like if you're just going even, you're going against a
you can keep from dying, and that in itself can be worth it.
That's the argument here for maxing W second.
We're not saying that you should just go out and start maxing W because it's more effective than the other ones. It's like when shit hits the fan and you're having a hard time laning and you're kind of getting outclassed by whoever you're playing against.
That's
W is the way to go.
There you go.
Okay.
If you're getting exactly, I agree, because the 20 damage you get per rank on Q is not going to be as significant as the 20 damage you get and the 20 soak you get for using your W. So yeah, I can see your point there. So if you are getting bullied, if you anticipate losing the lane, or if you are losing the lane, chunk some of those into there to help you balance it out.
Which is nice. You get a champion that can.
But I usually play
to
aggressive as hell and bully, and usually with Sion, I'm winning the lane, so I go EQ.
Well, you can.
So
it's
our old mantra. It's if you're
on.
winning, build damage. If you're losing, build defense.
Let's
Same
move
thing
on
with
to
rank.
Sion, since we've spent a good 10 minutes talking about him, and it's probably a little excessive considering he's
been a
out
good
forever.
4 episodes over the past month talking about.
Sorry.
I do want to talk a little bit about Veigar, because he's had passive equilibrium, has had 0.5% mana regeneration added to his passive, and the Baleful Strike has had a 100 range increase.
Hey, remember that time Veigar was really good and all the haters are going to keep hating?
Yeah. The community is still convinced he's terrible. I haven't seen him at all.
They hate the E. The community doesn't like that his E is delayed because in the support role, it was amazing. It is amazing in the support role. It's old Veigar. I don't like him in the support role now with that, but when you're building damage and you're mid-game and you have longer range, 900 range on a skill shot that hits 2 things and can go through a unit if you only have one way.
You can cage people in and they can't dash out anymore.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? The argument I would make with new Veigar is he's actually more potent than previously, because people freak out when they see that little shield coming around. Like before, you could instantly stun people. Now you can corral people into certain areas because there's that moment of panic. We're like, oh god, where do I go?
Well, and it also makes you. It forces you to make either a split good or bad decision. Can I make it before the thing pops up, and should I risk it to get stunned and not be able to move through it? Or just stay there and then you could have made it through and now you're potentially dead. So there's that little mind game sort of thing going on now too. Right, or you can just play Olaf and run through it.
He's in a good spot.
Like a man.
Coming from a champion that had a 44% win rate previously to where he was now, I can see why when he gets a rework, if he's not sitting at 50%, that the community doesn't feel that he's right. But with the change Athene's and also having a tier that you could build on him, I don't see any reason not to play him if you're good at Veigar, or not to learn to play him.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm still going to say he's good.
He's good. He's still immobile and easy to jump on. When you see his E is used, that's when you dogpile him. There's not much you can do. But
he still was a learning curve.
I've seen a lot of people die to the Q going through a minion and then them getting hit by it.
Not
they
expecting
hit 2 targets.
it.
Well, that's exactly it. They're like, oh, they don't take into consideration Veigar's been changed. And next thing you know, they get popped in the mouth because they weren't respecting the changes.
Oh, yeah. Or you run away and you're in the bush. You're like, "Whew, I'm safe because old Veigar can't target me." No, this one can.
Well, and it also makes you. It forces you to make a either a split good or bad decision. Can I make it before the thing pops up, and should I risk it to get stunned and not be able to move through it? Or just stay there and then you could have made it through and now you're potentially dead. So there's that little mind game sort of thing going on now too.
So he's good. He's fun, and he still has his counter. There are still counters to him. Things I can jump on immediately. But I've noticed. Here's something I've noticed, and I don't know if you agree with me or not. But when I get my ass kicked on Veigar early, kind of like the Chi Jack syndrome, it doesn't matter if I can survive into the late game. I can still delete their mid laner with my R, and then I'm good to go. I still serve a purpose.
So that's all you're good for is deleting one person then dying.
Only
and zoning.
instantly killing one person. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you delete mid, you zone an area, and then you throw your if someone runs in your W, all right, they take a lot of damage. Let's say they dogpile you die. It doesn't matter. You helped win your team fight that way.
In defense of losing out early and then coming back and being able to delete somebody instantly, how many champions can have that bad of a time early game and then still delete somebody later on, so they force it in a situation where you're playing a bunch of other champions and it would normally be a 4v5 at that point. You force a 4v4 and you hope your team can take it after that.
Right. And that feels it
like
feels
that yeah.
It's a safety comfort thing, like, okay, I'm getting my ass kicked, but I have a chance.
But that Ari who's beating me so bad is going to get really fed, so I'm going to hurt her even more.
all I'm going to do, I finally finished my Zonias 30 minutes into the game. I'm going to flash R Zonias. All right, I'm good to go.
I did it, guys. That was helpful.
Yeah, see, I knew I should have pulled up his win rate. He's at a
sorry.
49% win rate now that he's had that change since last patch. So he is steadily increasing, which I don't think it's just the changes. I think it's just people learning how to play him.
I agree with that. I still think... these changes obviously helped, but I still think there's a curve people have to learn with him. I haven't seen any Veigar masters yet, which terrifies me because I know people can master him, and when they do, it's going to be nasty. I'm not going to have fun.
No, I straight up got carried in a ranked game a few weeks ago from probably last week from this change Veigar. He got ahead a little bit early and then would walk through one-shotting anybody he pleased.
Well,
Tanks,
think about it.
whatever, it didn't matter.
Yeah, he's on the enemy team, and even if you kicked his butt early, later in the game, you'd still see a Veigar. You're like, oh shit, I got to stay away from him because he's gonna hit R, and that's all that he has to do.
I will say that I still got the old Veigar in my head where I'm like, I can't stand near him because he'll stun me, and so I'm still scared of Veigar. That actually,
and it is scary. So.
That pretty much ends patch 4.6 or 5.6, unless other people got things to say. This is great because Claude's camera was like stuck with him going out of my screen.
Oh yeah, was it stuck in the stream too?
It's still stuck now. It's so funny because you keep sticking like every once in a while. You're like,
It's probably my connection.
Yeah, no,
sorry guys.
It's just funny.
I will say, I do
sound
want to
fine.
say one other thing with the return of the tank meta and out of the jungle at least. There are so many junglers now that will play bruisers and go full tank now too, which is kind of nice in that with the way that the changes have gone, you usually have at least one guaranteed tanky person on a team, where in the past
Doesn't
that
this
might
go
not
back
be the case.
20 episodes or more ago where we talked about tanks winning? If you have a tank on your team, you have an
and
increased chance of winning.
the more you have, the better.
Yeah, I don't know. Punch, were you on that episode? I think that was before your time.
Maybe. I totally agree with it, especially now.
Yeah. That's why
Can't
whenever
stand when the enemy team has 2 or 3 tanks and my team has. Well, I don't want to.
If
I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to
play
complain
top-
because everybody has their solo queue problems.
if
it's
I'm going to play
frustrating.
top or jungle, and I don't like picking before the other top or jungle because if I communicate, I'm like, hey, you going to pick a tank? Yeah. Okay, great. So then I pick a carry, and then they pick, someone who can get kind of tanky, like Vi or Jarvan. And it's like, damn, but now at least they can build Cinderhulk and actually be a tank.
Right.
So,
You got it.
But also, don't get salty if there's no tank on your team, because if you have a Lulu makes anybody a tank.
I build Cinderhulk on all my junglers now. I don't think there's any jungler that I don't build Cinderhulk on anymore, just because the item is so damn good. And
It's
I messed with
very
it on Pantheon,
Isn't?
but I don't really build health items.
I wouldn't build it on Lee.
I'm terrible Lee, but I would just build it on everybody at this point because it gives you that. It allows you to farm really quickly, obviously, because it's doing the AoE passive, so you have to spend more time out of your jungle, or you can clear your jungle more quickly. But it also gives you the ability to decide which path you want to go down as a jungler. You can either go carry after the fact, or you can go tanky, and it helps out both paths rather than building damage first and then having to make up
Or-
into that mid game when you don't have that extra life.
Say you pick that up and you decide to go the little bit more damage route, and you end up picking up a Trinity Force. You're getting more health out of that little bit of health you're already buying anyway. So
Phage.
again, it synergizes with a lot of items for bruisers and tanks, and I mean, you can see it's just opened up the jungle to a whole lot of champions we haven't seen in a while.
Would you build it on Fiddlesticks?
No.
Good question. Would you?
I wouldn't either.
Well, you could, yeah,
Maybe.
you
I'm just
could
thinking about
increase
it.
that
You
Raptor
stand
clear
next to
speed.
someone.
I'm like,
You alt in the middle of them and you stand around. You hit
Pop that
Zanya.
I don't think it's the
Yeah.
best,
Building
but
up.
I don't think it's really that bad. I'd rather have Magus, but I still don't think it's that bad on him.
Malzahar, after building the Roa.
I would still like. It's still like. It's not great, but it's not.
You can get
bad.
away with it. You can get away with it on everybody. Is
Yeah,
what it
that's
comes
what-
down
It
to.
is really amazing though on champions like Volibear, actual tanks. Sejuani, etc.
Zach,
Yeah, good on
because
Zach.
you get all that extra
Yeah.
life, and then you can pick up your chunks for more life. I'm
I
telling
don't know if anybody's run into the full tank Udyr with like
Oh my god.
the almost 4.5k health Udyr that isn't killable at all. It's really annoying. It's
And
really
fast.
annoying.
Lightning.
Yeah,
Oh, that's like Sion, the unkillable Sion, because he
There's a
keeps
few
pressing
champions that are
W.
unkillable.
Yeah, but the Udyr can run around you and kill
that's the
your
thing. Like, well,
Run
not
away.
all, yeah, that's exactly it. He can run wherever he wants, and then oh god, your team goes to deal with him. Next thing you know, the rest of their team's pushing up a different lane, and
then
Udyr's
Udyr's
just standing up there,
Get him.
not dying because he's an asshole.
Anything
I
else
love
to
this
add
game.
to 5-6 discussion?
I did want to ask if anyone else has seen more Rise. I know I have.
I saw one
seen-
Rise.
I've
But
seen
we beat
a
him with
significant
Banner
increase
of-
in people picking Rise, but I haven't seen a lot of
Is the damage significant?
Rises having a meaningful impact. Now, maybe it's just because the game isn't going long enough, but
I think Banner of Command beats the double AP right now. That's one of those where like you can pick double AP, but as long as you get a Banner of Command or two, like if you go against a double AP team, try to convince your team to build 2 Banner of Commands and then split push side lanes because they can't do anything about it.
Good point. That is frustrating.
Yeah, because the promoted minion cannot be hurt by magic damage from Banner of Command. So if you have
Oh,
a
that
double
is
AP team,
so annoying.
Yeah.
Oh,
I won a game the other day that had a Fed RS. Was I Punch? Were you in that game?
yeah.
The-
Target was in that game.
Fed
Thought we had
Rise,
more.
Fed
Was Chira
RE.
not in that game?
Yeah, I thought so.
I don't think I was in that game.
But if this doesn't scream Banner
I
of
wasn't in
Command,
that game.
where
Was that the
yeah.
Banner of the Command bot lane?
No, mid lane. But we pushed
Okay,
down
that's
mid lane. Well, we got Baron. I had a really good Baron call. We got it. And then we bannered up. We had a bannered of command, Baron, Frank the tank rolling down mid lane. We wiped out 5 turrets and an inhibitor in the span of the
It
Baron.
was gross. It was a really close game before that.
That's sick.
They had a Fed Diamond RA. Wrecker was in mid lane. That was
Yeah.
it. Wrecker was playing Veigar.
Oh, nice.
And
But they just can't do it. That's what I'm saying. Like I think Banner of Command kind of beats the double AP meta. So
Good
Rise
point.
is. I mean, he can be played. He can still do a ton. But if you get a Banner of Command and you can force them to deal with it somehow,
I mean, it forces them
kind
to
of-
hard engage, which,
Right.
I mean, if you've got a double AP with Kennen, they can do that.
right.
But they
A
didn't.
Kennen with Flash.
Yeah.
I like that advice. I've never thought about that. Double AP, get a banner command.
You know, that'd be really good against Azir, too. You don't see that much Azir, but, I mean, he is an incredibly frustrating person to push
and
against.
Ziggs.
And that would be
Good. Yeah.
And Ziggs, who
Yeah,
we
that'd
should be
be
seeing
huge.
more of. I mean, Banner of Command should be a great item against those champions.
Everyone get banner command. Remember, it's still there.
And promote the
That's
tank.
awesome.
Kargan special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you
Think of Kargan when you buy it.
Right. I'm still looking at this Labatt Blue. You know, and I can't really say anything. I actually went and
Stop
grabbed
looking at it.
a Magic Hat number 9 when I was making the disgusting luck to go
It
grab
tastes
that
even
beer.
more delicious because it's so cheap.
Would you pay $1 for it?
My wallet feels so wonderful.
Would you pay $1?
It was $5 for a 6-pack of these.
You got ripped off.
Wow.
It's less than $1.
You got ripped off. You want to know how much I paid for these? This was a 4-pack for $1.50.
Get the hell out of here.
No, I shit you not.
How does that even happen?
It was
Son of a
$1.50 for a 4-pack of 16-ounce Magic Hat number 9s. I bought 3 4-packs. And I got a keg. You know how bad it is right now. I know this. Like we're at the podcast, right? I can do this.
Derail.
It's derailing. I have a keg. I have 5 gallons of beer in my fridge and a keg. I've got like 12 other things of homebrew sitting in there, plus whatever's in my fridge, and then all this Magic Hat. I have a good problem where I have too much beer.
That is a great problem to have.
Who wants to come over and drink some beer?
Me.
They're like, yeah.
Can you mail it? No, I didn't say that.
I will.
No, you won't. The government did not hear you say that.
The government's always listening.
They are. By the way, one thing I just did want to mention, Karthus's auto attack is a lot better. I can farm a lot better because it was always such crap. It felt so terrible. I like Karthus better. I'm going to start playing him more with you guys.
Okay.
Have fun.
Whatever, buddy. I'm going to play Zach. And then I would get into a listener question or something, but
it's late.
It's late. I mean, yeah, I spent 10 minutes at the beginning of the podcast. She only gave you 50 minutes. I've been doing that a lot lately, but it's because we usually get through what we're going to talk about by the end of the podcast, and then what else is to talk about. So I will give you guys a treat or like a special, like, hey, this is coming up in episode 248. We're having Haberdashing on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
From the Four Wards podcast, because we want to promote Four Wards. If you're not already go check that out, please go check it out, fourwards.trinityforcepodcast.com. That's F-O-R, or F-O-U-R, rather. Fourwards.trinityforcepodcast. And they are the podcast for the uninitiated. That is the tagline I've given it right now. We're trying to work out a better tagline, but I think I kind of like it because I think it sticks really well. Because it's not a podcast for the beginner player. It's just the uninitiated to League. Ones that may have played for a while, but still don't understand
the ones that are still working on landing that Q alt Amumu combo.
Right. Ones that want to know how do I judge distance, ones that want to know what orb walking is, ones that want to understand just really basic jungle paths, and then here Proper is going to try to move into more of the higher level discussion, which we've been doing for quite a while. Because what's funny is somebody had mentioned earlier that Trinity Force podcast was the Four Wards of 2012, and now we needed the Four Wards of 2015. So.
Good point. It's entertaining. I already listened to their episode, so.
And if you guys are worried about audio quality, I'm setting the microphones tomorrow. I just had to wait for the confirmation to get some out there. So they are getting new microphones. They will sound a little bit more crisp and clean after a couple episodes. But please go check them out, guys. Four Wards. You can go check them out also on the Reddit, T-Force Network. Please join us on TeamSpeak, ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. That is the server for it. Lots of people there always playing the game. As well as in-game, the chat channel T-Force. If you'd like to donate, trinityforcepodcast.com/donate. That's all I've got for this week. That's patch 5.6 continued part 2.
This week? Oh, we got stuff.
Adam,
think
we
of things
still
for
have another
Wednesday.
episode. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, Wednesday's a listener question episode, because I'm going to force Haberdashing to come in with his knowledge and drop it like bombs.
Knock him out.
It's going to be Hiroshima up in here.
All right, we'll see you then.
See you guys.
Peace.
See ya.